Welcome to Arabian Story Time, where legends breathe and voices of the past whisper again before the stars rose, before the desert fell silent. A choice was made, and it changed everything. This is that story. Long ago, in the heart of Arabia, there lived a king whose power stretched across deserts, mountains, and rivers. His name was King Khalid, and his reputation was feared far beyond his palace walls. He was a man of great pride, sharp intellect, and unyielding confidence. In his court, no one dared to question his wisdom, for the king believed he had the answer to everything. But pride, as you know, can sometimes blind even the greatest of men. One hot afternoon, as the blazing sun painted the sky gold, King Khalid summoned his subjects to the grand courtyard. With his crown glittering beneath the desert light, he rose before the people and announced a challenge. "People of my kingdom," he declared, "today I offer a test. If any one of you can ask me a question I cannot answer, I will grant you whatever you desire. Riches, land, even freedom from taxes. But beware. If I can answer your question, you shall face punishment." The crowd gasped. Who would dare challenge the king's intellect? One by one, brave men tried. Merchants, scholars, travelers. Yet, each question was swiftly answered by the king. Whether it was about the stars above, the treasures of the seas, or the history of distant lands, the king's knowledge appeared limitless. Each challenger left humiliated, and fear began to silence the crowd. Just as the people thought no one else would step forward, a soft but steady voice spoke. "I have a question for the king." The crowd parted in disbelief. A young girl, not more than 16, stepped into the center. Her clothes were plain, her hands calloused from weaving carpets in the marketplace. She was not a scholar, nor a noble, but her eyes held the spark of courage. King Khalid raised an eyebrow. "And who are you, child, to stand before your king?" She bowed respectfully. "I am Layla, daughter of a weaver. My family owns nothing but our word. And today, it's with my word that I challenge you." The court erupted in whispers. How can a mere girl dare such a thing? Yet, the king, curious, leaned forward. "Very well. Ask your question." Layla paused, then spoke with calm confidence. "My king, tell me this. What is something you can give away but still keep for yourself?" The courtyard fell silent. The people held their breath, waiting for the king's reply. King Khalid frowned. He thought carefully. "Treasure." "No? Once you give treasure, it is no longer yours." "Land." "No. For land, dividend is lost." Minutes passed. The king, who had answered every question before, now found himself caught in a riddle he could not untangle. Finally, with unease in his voice, he admitted, "I do not know the answer." Gasps filled the courtyard. The king had been defeated, not by a scholar, not by a warrior, but by a young girl. Layla smiled softly. The answer, my king, is your word. When you give your word, you keep it still, for it remains part of your honor. The crowd erupted in applause. Even the palace guards, bound by duty, could not hide their astonishment. True to his promise, King Khalid stood and addressed her. You have outwitted me. Young Layla, speak your desire, and it shall be granted. Many expected her to ask for gold, jewels, or perhaps a grand palace. But Layla's voice carried a wisdom far beyond her years. My king, I ask not for myself. Grant instead that every child in our village, boy or girl, rich or poor, may learn to read and write. Let knowledge be shared, so that none shall remain blind to wisdom. The people were struck with awe. A girl who could have claimed riches chose instead a gift for her people. King Khalid humbled. You have not only defeated me with your mind, but you have also shamed me with your heart. From this day forward, every child in this kingdom shall be taught to read and write. And so it was. Layla's courage changed the course of the kingdom. The children of weavers, shepherds, and merchants alike found themselves learning letters, words, and stories. Knowledge spread like the desert winds, carried from one generation to the next. The king, thought humbled, grew wiser too. He learned that power lies not in pride, nor in riches, but in the wisdom of listening and in the strength of keeping one's word. And as for Layla, the girl who outsmarted a king, her name lived on as a reminder that true greatness can come from the humblest of places. True power does not rest in crowds, armies, or gold. It rests in wisdom, in the courage to speak, and in the strength of a promise kept. This is the moral of the story. And now, dear audience, a question for you. If you were given the chance to ask a king one question he could not answer, what would it be? Share your riddle or question in the comments. I'd love to see which of you could outwit a king. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, because next time on Arabian Story Time, I'll share another tale where a riddle did not just outsmart a king, but almost ended a war. You won't want to miss it.